Late morning, everybody, as we let you and everybody in and get settled here for a minute. Just want to welcome everybody. This is being recorded. We will send out the slides. So I'll probably repeat that a couple of times because I know that's a good question. And actually, some of our slides have additional resources and links to other Zoom meetings. So it's pretty important we send it out. I hope no one has to memorize a Zoom webinar meeting as a result of coming to this. So we'll get that sent out to everyone who's able to show up today. We'll wait about 1 minute to get started as we kind of let everybody in. So just kind of a heads up. We'll roll here in just a moment. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. We appreciate all who are taking time to hear about this great update to Michigan Reconnect today. This session is being recorded, and we will send the slides out to everyone who registered for this today. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. I'm Alicia Cedarberg. I'm the program administrator for MiLEAP Office of Higher Ed. I work with student success and strategic initiatives. I'll be co-presenting today with my colleague, Don. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I am also with the Office of Higher Ed, and I am the Reconnect Coordinator. So I will be helping out with all of these changes that we will be talking about.
So, as Don alluded to, Reconnect has changed. Today, we're going to kind of give a brief overview of what Reconnect is. We did invite a lot of different groups to this, so we want to make sure we're all talking about the same program and on the same page. We'll then talk about changes made in the state's school aid budget we call it fiscal year 27. You all will recognize it as academic year 2026, 2027. So those are kind of one and the same for us in the Reconnect program. We'll talk about the timeline of how we're going to implement these changes, and then we'll just kind of give everybody an update of what Reconnect is, what it kind of has meant to the state and to Michiganders. So just to kind of table set for everybody, Michigan Reconnect has been available to Michiganders since 2021. It is a program for adult learners to attend college at their local community college. It provides free in-district tuition. So it's either free college or a significant discount for students who go to a community college but do pay the out-of-district rate. To qualify for Michigan Reconnect, students must have lived in Michigan for a year. They must have a high school diploma or equivalency before receiving Reconnect, and they must not have already have a community college associate degree or bachelor's degree or already have a college degree. So it is for the first college degree. So the exciting change happened in the school aid budget. The legislature passed and approved these budget changes the first week of July. Governor Whitmer signed the school age budget yesterday. So we do have confirmation that this exciting change has happened and is state law. The school aid budget increased Michigan Reconnect's appropriation from 42 million to 67 million. So that was a $25 million increase into the Michigan Reconnect program. The purpose of increasing the appropriation was to allow for 21, 22, 23, 24-year-olds to now be able to apply and participate in Reconnect, and that change is intended to be permanent. Those students have to meet the other criteria that we just went over. So they must have a high school diploma or GED equivalency. They must have not received a college degree already, and they must be Michigan residents. So if otherwise eligible for Reconnect, we are permanently changing the age of Reconnect from 25 plus to now it's going to be 21 plus. And so this is not intended to be temporary. It is a change to the Reconnect program. So I keep mentioning the words permanent and temporary. If you're new to Michigan Reconnect, or maybe you haven't participated in the scholarship administration of it in the past. We did have a temporary expansion of Reconnect already. So in the fall of 2023, the legislature and signed by Governor Whitmer included a temporary expansion of Reconnect. That temporary expansion specifically outlined the age range of who could qualify and who could go into Reconnect before they became 25. It was always intended to be temporary. This change that we have now, although it's in the boilerplate language, it is intended that Reconnect is no longer Reconnect 25, it's Reconnect 21. So Reconnect by definition now, you can be 21 plus in order to qualify. So that's where the other expansion that we had of Reconnect was always intended to just be, temporary for these students at this time. This is fundamentally changing the definition of Reconnect. So what that means is we have some steps to take in order to make this happen. So right now, only 25-year-olds can complete the Reconnect application. So we do need to work with our vendor who provides the Reconnect application. We need to work with them to make that change kind of on the technical side. We're doing it as quickly as possible because we really are excited for 21-year-olds to begin applying for Reconnect, getting their applications in and showing up on college's eligibility roster this fall. Because of the prior expansion, we do have some technical ironing out we have to do. In the prior year, when we had Reconnect expansion and it was a separate program, students who applied would end up in this separate Reconnect program. So we have to kind of remove that logic so that the application and 21-year-olds in 21 plus all end up in regular Reconnect. So it is going to take a couple of weeks to get that updated, iron out, tested. So there are no barriers when the application is ready for these students to apply. They'll seamlessly be able to go in and apply just like 25-year-olds can do right now. Once we do have the application up and running, we anticipate it will be mid to late August that will be available. 21-year-olds can begin applying for the 2026-2027 academic year. Once they apply, they will receive their confirmation letter, just like regular Reconnectors, and they'll be assigned a Reconnect navigator. So in every way, this age group will just flow and will be processed and will be addressed with our navigators, just like Reconnectors who are 25 plus. For those students who did receive or participate in that temporary expansion of Reconnect, if they received the scholarship or participated in the scholarship as someone who is eligible, no reimbursement, they will remain in the Reconnect expansion program and they will continue to receive Reconnect the same way they have in the past. So those temporary expansion students still get to have Reconnect as part of that temporary expansion. They'll remain in that program and nothing will change for them. As you may know, if you're a financial aid office, that program was federally funded. Now it's state funded. And as far as colleges are concerned, the state of Michigan is, making quarterly payments for those students, same as any other state program. If a student during that temporary expansion had applied and was not age 25, they will need to reapply again. So just kind of a heads up, some of those students applied to be part of the expansion, never actually began receiving the scholarship or participating in the Reconnect program. So if they do want to participate this time, and if they do want to start going to college and receiving Reconnect, they will need to submit another Reconnect application. So just kind of a heads up if you advise students or if you have friends or family members who are interested and they said, well, I applied before, they will need to apply again. Once again, the students who are receiving Reconnect, as part of the expansion, they'll have no changes to their scholarship and there'll be no changes to how we're processing those temporary expansion students. So just want to kind of make it clear that this doesn't change anything for them. They don't get to do Reconnect again. So if a student received that Reconnect expansion that was temporary, they lost their eligibility before they got their degree, they cannot reapply. So that was their Reconnect eligibility. So they won't be able to receive it again. So just kind of a heads up on that. Reconnect did get one shot at being a reconnector. So if you're a reconnector as the expansion, that was your reconnect eligibility. And then just to emphasize, and I think this is so important, and we'll be talking to financial aid officers on Monday, students will be eligible this year. So this expansion of Reconnect is a permanent change to the definition of Reconnect. Reconnect is now 21 plus. And as soon as we get the technical fixes to the application up, students will begin to apply. They'll begin to be on the eligibility rosters. And as long as they turn 21 before your college's fall semester begins, they can begin receiving Reconnect, assuming they meet all the other eligibility criteria. So the only delay is just a technical one to get our application fixed in such a way that those 21-year-olds can easily apply and just process like the same way we do for 25-year-olds now. So it's not meant to have this start later or start next year or start next semester. It really is for this fall for those students. So we will be, pushing and having our advertising and kind of targeting those students as soon as we get that application up and running. So as you probably have learned from this webinar, that is our primary focus in kind of launching this change to Reconnect. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let Don take over from here.
All right, thanks, Alicia. So with the changes, the process to qualify for Michigan Reconnect is still going to remain the same. So students will still have to apply online using the Reconnect application. Of course, apply to a community or tribal college, and then they'll have to submit a FAFSA for each academic year, but especially, of course, the one that they want to go into first, and then enroll and start in classes. Now, to keep it going, it's still the same process. They have to qualify for subsequent years. They still have to get the 12 credit hours each academic year, meet your satisfactory academic progress, and then or have a 2.0 GPA since using Reconnect. And just to emphasize again, this is still a last dollar in district tuition scholarship. And then just some Reconnect data since the beginning of the program. We have almost 250,000 applications submitted for Reconnect. Last academic year, we had over 46,000 students that were attending as a Reconnector, and then the breakdown there is almost 30,000 age 25, and then a nice amount of people there, of course, still with a temporary expansion of over 16,000. And through November of 2025, we have over 13,000 graduates. And for students, and this has been going on for quite some time, but this is a great resource for students if they do want or if they do have questions regarding Reconnect. Our navigators do put on some office hours every Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday from noon until 2, and Thursday in the evening from 5 to 7. Our navigator team, they are there to provide support for whoever wants to go into those office hours. And the easiest way to get to those is to go through our Reconnect website, and there is a link there where they can get to those office hours. And then we also have our own office hours for colleges and universities as well. Feel free to come to those. It's every Wednesday from noon until 1. And that is the link. And then I think there was a question if we were going to email these out. We will get these slides out to everybody, so you will be able to get to that link as well to get to those office hours. And I know Alicia alluded to this a little bit earlier. We will be having another webinar presentation for financial aid administrators. That will be next Monday from 4 until 5. I believe that has been sent out, but this will also have the registration as well. So yeah, we definitely want as many financial aid offices on that call as possible, because that's where we would love to have the questions that you'll have, just to make sure that we're not missing anything, and that we're going to have, get everything that we need to have to make sure we get through this going forward. And then just notice that the 2027 is on there, but it is going to be next Monday, so it won't be a year from then. I promise. And then just some contact information. You can always email our Reconnect inbox. And then we have Alicia, mine, and then Jamar is also able to help. He's a great resource as well. If you do have any Reconnect questions, he would be able to go over that as well with you.
Okay, that's kind of the end of the formal presentation and announcement. We just wanted to make sure that we had a place. We didn't know the state budget necessarily was going to be signed yesterday, so we're excited that we can confirm that this is all go and that we are in contact with our vendor to update the application. But we thought it would be good just to make sure that you're kind of the greater Reconnect community, those who support Reconnectors, those who support colleges, maybe some here are looking to use Reconnect, kind of understand that this is a permanent change to the program. Reconnect is now 21 plus, and that it is for the fall semester, and that we hope to have the changes to the application in mid to late August. We will get more specific with the date in Gov delivery as we kind of get confirmation from our vendor and make sure that there's going to be no issues. The one thing we don't want to do is refer students to a broken application that doesn't work. So we're going to ensure that that doesn't happen. But we are also trying to get it up and running as quickly as possible. So I do see that there are a couple, questions in the chat. So I'll quickly address those. Lola Long asked, will the application allow the student to reapply if there is already an account associated with their social security number? If they applied as a temporary expansion student, so if their social security number was used for the expansion program, they should have no issues reapplying now that they're applying as a Reconnect student. So that's going to be part of the build with the application to make sure that there's no issues there. Currently, students who applied for the expansion and who turned 25 this year have been able to apply, and there hasn't seemed to be too many problems with that. I know sometimes the social security number can be a little frustrating if students have applied before, or we find a lot of reconnectors apply on the fly and mistype their social security number. And so then they don't feel like their application went through because it was under the wrong social security number. But we do think that this issue is addressed because when they applied as a Reconnect expansion student, because that was set up as a different program, that's actually on a different table. So that's why this year those students haven't had too many issues applying. Brittany, great question, good question. We'll talk about that on Monday. So we're still ironing out the nuts and bolts of that, but that is the first thing we thought of as something that might be different between a temporary expansion of Reconnect and a change to the actual age of Reconnect for everyone. So I hope you're able to attend on Monday. If not, shoot me an email and I'll send you our policy after that Monday meeting. So when I say 21, it just means that right now, anyone 25 and above can apply for Reconnect. And if they meet the other eligibility criteria, if they have their high school diploma, if they're, a Michigan resident, if they get admitted to their community college, they're eligible for Reconnect. And so instead of that cutoff being 25, we're going to lower that cutoff to 21. So if you're 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 69, 48, 38, 21, all of those will be able to apply without issue to our program. So it's just allowing the 21, 22, 23, 24-year-olds in and allowing them to complete the application. Again, that's not available right now. It is what we are working on, and we hope to have that application available to mid to late August for those 21, 22, 23, and 24-year-olds. We will be updating marketing materials. There's a question about that. Right now, we don't have an application to drive students to. So we put on our website that this has passed, that Reconnect is changing to 21. When the application is ready and we have a place to drive those new applicants to, we'll certainly take on a targeted campaign for 21, 22, 23, 24-year-olds. 67 million is generous. And so we want to make sure that we use every single dollar. And so that's going to be really important to us to go after those new Reconnect students who may not have known until hopefully after this call, that they're going to be eligible to receive Reconnect this year. So we hope to kind of support colleges in their marketing campaign with a statewide campaign, but we do want to make sure we have an application that they can fill out successfully. And then is the effective date of the signed budget or is after that? So the budget is signed. The state of Michigan's fiscal year begins October 1st. And so the first time colleges can actually bill us for Reconnect happens in November. So you can begin awarding 21, 22, 23, 24-year-olds right now. They are eligible for the fall semester. They just, they have to turn 21 before your fall semester begins in order to qualify for Reconnect for the fall. All right, how much can each applicant receive and can they combine this with Michigan Works grants? So the amount a student can receive is how the in-district portion of tuition. So if they're an in-district student, they're taking classes in their program of study, they can receive, the maximum would be that amount. But if they receive a Pell Grant or if they receive any other tuition-specific scholarship, Reconnect's last dollar. So Reconnect will pay after other aid, that covers tuition. And we do see Pell Grant as tuition first. If they're receiving Michigan Works grants and it's not for tuition, they can receive both. So Reconnect is just tuition specific. So if they are getting reimbursement for their transportation, if Michigan Works is helping them with their books, none of that will affect their Reconnect award amount. If they receive a full Pell Grant and their Pell Grant applies to their tuition and fees, Reconnect may not have anything left to pay. And so in that event, a student would just be, what we call eligible, no reimbursement, which means they've raised their hand. We consider them a reconnector. They have access to our navigators. They have, support from the programmatic standpoint of our program, but the Pell Grant's covering their tuition. So they may not receive a scholarship because we don't have any tuition to pay. Is there a link to to register for the meeting on Monday? Yeah, we'll send that out. We'll send this presentation out to everybody after we fix the typo on the year, my bad. And so you can go ahead and get a link to that. We send it out to all the community college directors. Also, you see my email address right here. If you're a financial aid administrator and maybe you don't work at a community college, but you'd like to, or maybe you just really are supportive of Reconnect, email me. I'll send you a link to the Monday meeting if you are a financial aid administrator. No problem. It went out to directors because I figured that was the easiest access point to get financial aid administrators invited. If your director is on vacation or, please just email me directly. You're more than welcome to come. Can Reconnect be used with NCDs? Not sure what an NCD is, but if you type that in the chat and explain what that is, I'll try to see if I can quick answer that question or not. If it's a little more complicated than just quickly putting in the chat, go ahead and send me an email. I'll be happy to look into that. Did it say that the students who earned a certificate of completion are also eligible? No, certificate of completion is not the equivalent of a high school diploma or GED. So for the Reconnect program, Reconnect does require high school diploma or its equivalency. So students who graduate high school with a certificate of completion and not a diploma do not qualify for Reconnect. So we shouldn't try and apply now. We should wait until mid to late August. Yes, keep checking our website. If you are 21 to 24, the application just needs to be fixed. And we are working on fixing it as quickly as possible. So keep checking our website. Check in with your financial aid office and let them know that you want to qualify for Reconnect. We know it's super close to the fall semester. The way the state budget works and the way the fall semester works, sometimes that it doesn't align and give students a long runway to get the scholarships that they qualify for. But we hope that colleges will work with you because we're really hopeful and excited and want 21 to 24-year-olds to start receiving Reconnect this fall. All right. And then I registered for classes, but have not paid anything out of pocket yet. Should I wait for the application? David, contact your financial aid office. That's my best advice for you right now. And keep checking our website. We will not have the application available until after August 12th. I hope I can say in a couple days, we'll have it available August 15th, But right now, we are unable to launch the application for 21 to 24-year-olds until after August 12th. So contact your financial aid office, let them know that you need the scholarship, that you plan on going in the fall, and that you believe you'll be eligible for Reconnect and you're just waiting for the application. You will be eligible this fall, and I know some of those billing deadlines and that type of thing. Again, not great alignment between the state budget and launching this program. So the best advice I can give you is go talk to your financial aid office. Non-college degree programs. Oh, okay, gotcha. So, if the program is a Pell eligible program, meaning it's a certificate or an associate degree, those can be eligible for Reconnect. So, if it's like corporate training or if it's some of the short-term training programs, unfortunately, those won't qualify for Reconnect. So it really depends on colleges. Some colleges have a lot of certificate programs that are Pell eligible. Some have very few. But if it's a certificate that students in that certificate program can get a Pell grant, then those students can apply for Reconnect. Should we go ahead and contact our chosen? Yes. Yes. Contact your colleges and see what to do next. Particularly if you're between 21 and 24, I think that that's a great plan to kind of figure out what your next steps are for the fall semester. It is hard to kind of get everything ready, even in the best circumstances, beginning at the end of July. There's a lot of steps students have to take to kind of align their classes for the fall semester. Colleges are there and want to help. Contacting them now is going to be better than contacting them a week from now. So I highly recommend reaching out to your colleges if you're thinking about registering. So no, previous recipients of the expansion or eligible no reimbursement students cannot receive Reconnect again. So they already got their Reconnect eligibility in the temporary expansion. Students who applied and were eligible only because of the age expansion during that time period. So 21 to 24-year-olds who didn't receive it. So I was 22, wanted to go to college in 2024. I apply for Reconnect. I'm allowed in because we have this temporary expansion, but then I never go. Those students can reapply and they haven't used Reconnect yet, so they can get Reconnect, but they have to reapply. But anyone who received Reconnect as an expansion student, that is their Reconnect eligibility. They will not have another bite at the apple. If a student completes a cybersecurity certificate, but then wants to start a nursing associate degree, both are Pell eligible. Does Michigan Reconnect pay for both? Who asked that? Andrea Herrera, are you a financial aid person? That's a really good technical question that I would like in an email and we'll respond that way. How's
No,
that? Are you?
I'm a college admissions representative, but I just don't know if a like student finishes a certificate and here at HFC they might be like a 15 credit certificate, but they complete it. Can they then start like a new associate degree?
Um, I'll just take your question at face value and not ask clarifying questions and say yes.
Awesome.
If a student already has a certificate, they can receive Reconnect for an associate degree. But hopefully, the financial aid people on the line know
Oh,
exactly the needle I'm threading with that.
yeah, Alicia, those qualifying questions are really important.
Talk to me on Monday, Ian.
Okay.
So I gave you all a special place to ask the clarifying questions. Um, Short-term programs like post-secondary school that offer certificates of completion, such as CNA Pilates, will not be eligible for Reconnect. Did I hear that correctly? Yes. So short-term training programs like CNA or phlebotomy are generally too short to be Title IV eligible. She says while laughing because of the workforce Pell stuff she is also working on. But programs that are less than 16 weeks, colleges up until this point have not been able to get Title IV or Pell eligibility for them, and so they are not eligible for Reconnect. They will continue to not be eligible for Reconnect, even if they end up getting workforce Pell. So I'll give a technical financial aid answer to that one. All right, and then yeah, Andrea, if you want more specificity on your question, the way that Ian would like more specificity on that question, shoot me an email and I'll kind of give you all the skinny on that.
I already know the answer. I'm just, yeah, anyway, we'll talk on Monday.
We'll talk on Monday. Okay, so I think we've made it through the chat of questions. Did I create any more confusion? And would anyone else like to ask a quick question? We got 30 seconds. Well, I appreciate everyone coming today. It's really exciting. Reconnect has changed. And so we appreciate your time today. Don, do you have any follow-up you'd like to quick provide?
I do not. I'm just yeah, looking forward to Monday. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of good questions.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody.
Job. Great job.
Yep, you guys are awesome.